So you could probably sense the energy level is a little different. He is he's focused on the stock market now primarily, so that's what he does. Yeah, much more hyper. It's funny because all his first ones are like all subdued like that. And that was that first one was a 1-minute video. This one's a 17-minute video, and he's been putting them out like every day. And to build his YouTube channel up like that, I watched an interview about it, and he said that for 9 months he put out a video every single day. Yeah, it is a lot of editing. He actually just hired a full-time editor to live in his house with his family. But he said in the interview that he spent like 9 months producing a video every day before he got to $150 a month in income. So it's not like a quick thing. It's definitely something you would have to work at. But it's, I think a really amazing way. Like, you can create a business through YouTube and other online platforms without having to manage all the little details of a business, without having to advertise and pay for advertising. With very little investment, you can use your personality and your energy to create a business for yourself. So if you have anything to share, like, I'm going to start doing videos. I have a channel that's like a personal channel, and then I just created a separate channel, and I'm going to start creating videos on investing and in the stock market and things like that, and just economics stuff that I like, the same stuff I talk to you, and I'll share that with you guys before the end of the year. And that would be a good way for us to keep in touch. Also, I wanted to tell you guys, if you want to keep in touch after school, like after you graduate, email me your personal email. I can look up your personal emails, but I want you to send it to me, like specifically if you want to keep in touch after graduation. It's really a cool thing, especially like, a couple years down the line, you might want to check in and just tell me what you're up to, your job, college, things like that. So yeah, just email me your email and tell me that you'd like to keep in touch. Yeah, I do have an Instagram. I rarely use it, and I'm probably I don't know if I'm going to keep using it so much, but I may start using it like to promote my YouTube channel. I also might I'm starting to use Twitter more too. So anyway, if you want to keep in touch like that, send it. Yeah, I think it's a little overwhelming with all the different platforms out there. I think it's important to focus. For me, at least, focus on one or two that you really like. For me, I'm going to start focusing more on YouTube, but because I really like YouTube, like that's where I consume the most media, and I do like Instagram. It's a good way for me to like keep in touch. Facebook's amazing, but it's also just really kind of overwhelming for me. It's just, I like the simplicity of Twitter and Instagram, and I like YouTube for the videos. I know Facebook probably has videos too now. So if you guys had to pick one media platform, what's your favorite one, like interactive media platform? Somebody's still using MySpace. That's cool. Twitch. Heard of that. Yeah, and it can be WhatsApp. Yeah, yeah, WhatsApp's good for international. I got friends overseas. My brother lives overseas in Asia, except in China. WhatsApp is blocked in China, so friends that I have that live in China, we use WeChat. Yeah, so social media can become very stressful and overwhelming. So I recommend that you, like I said, be careful about that. If you start noticing that it's stressful to try to keep up on stuff, that you just focus on one or two, or none. You know, some people. I heard an interview with Elon Musk the other day, and he was saying that he just uses Twitter and he just deleted the other social medias off of his phone, so he's not doesn't feel like he has to try to keep up on everything. So I think I'll probably stick with yeah, like Twitter. I like Twitter for reading and finding articles. But you know, you can also narrow things down where you're only seeing from certain people. I think that's also really valuable. So I'm kind of procrastinating a little bit on today's lessons because it's kind of dry and boring, and all this information is in the course reading. But let's try to get through it and make it interesting. Sorry, I didn't open up the whiteboard tool. So, now, if you have not done Flipgrid, you can still get 5 points for doing the Flipgrid. Let me give you the link for that. Okay. Let's see, where do I have that? I need to make it more accessible for myself. Okay, so let me get you that one. Let's see here. I'm still sort of bumbling around in Flipgrid a little bit. Let's see here. Huh. Oh gosh, sorry about the delay. Let's see if I can figure this out here. Okay, I've got like 8 tabs open now in Flipgrid, but I can't seem to get to the right one. My grids. Okay, there we go. All right, so there's the Flipgrid for the opportunity cost, and basically, if you just do it, you'll get the points. I'm not sure, Vaughn, what you're talking about. I can't remember. So today I showed some YouTube resources earlier for learning about economic topics. If you're watching the recording, and I was talking about, I recommend Yahoo Finance as one site, but I find YouTube is the best. Okay, so there's the Flipgrid. Yeah, so you can get 5 points if you record a video in Flipgrid, and let's see what here. So blah 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 blah. Okay. So, who could say really simply in chat what is a checking account for? And also, what kind of institution do you use? Do you use a credit union or a bank? In the chat, do you guys? Can anybody tell me what a checking account is for? We just watched a little video there. What is a checking account for? Yeah, so you deposit money into it, right? And then yeah, it's for depositing and withdrawing money. Yeah, so like if you get a paycheck, right? If you get a paycheck, you put it into the checking account. It's what's called a liquid account. Good. So, okay, so this is what we're doing today. Goals, checking, credit union, savings account, intro to making a budget. We're not really going to go over that today. We're going to talk about that next time. And then we'll talk about what's coming up next. So, checkings and savings accounts. And if anyone wants to jump on the mic and explain this, does anybody want to read this one for points? Just go ahead and grab it and go.
Checking accounts are a great place to store money if you need easy access to your money. How does a checking account work? Number one, you deposit money into your account. Number two, you write a check or you use a debit card when purchasing items or paying bills. Number three, your check is deposited into the bank by the person or business you wrote the check to. That bank contacts your bank to make sure there are enough funds in your account. The money is transferred from your bank to the bank of the business or person you wrote the check to.
Sorry, I have been talking for quite some time now, and I was just talking to myself, which is always kind of funny. Thanks for checking in. Yeah, I unclicked my mic so that Josh could have the floor, and that was great, Josh. Thank you. What did I say? I just said, yeah, I said a lot. So basically, a checking account, checks are just like a piece of paper with your bank account information on there. And you could print them off your computer. They don't have to be bank issued. You do have to pay for them usually. Someone keeps hitting their talk button. Yeah, so yeah, that's what a checking account is. Let's move on. So a question I was asking you guys, has anyone ever paid a fee for a checking account or other kind of account, like money account that they have? Anybody ever had that happen? So You know, often checking accounts will have a card attached to them, a debit card. So a debit card is just like it's like using a debit means that it takes money out of your account. So a debit is, yes, so there are charges for having a checking account. There can some institutions will charge money. My credit union does not. I have free checking. I'm going to blow my nose, so excuse me for a second. Yeah, most banks charge for checking accounts, but credit unions usually have free. I strongly recommend a credit union over a bank. Something to look into, because banks make a lot of money off fees. And so an overdraft fee is where you use like a card or you write a check for more than you have in the account. And then, you know, monthly maintenance fees are like $12 usually, but yeah, so shop around. You know, there's no reason to pay for something that you don't have to, right? So if you can get into a credit union, they're not always, like our little city has like 2 of them. 2 or 3 of them, and yeah, they're a great option. If you get, you know, the statement, like the printout of the status, like of your account each month, they'll often charge you like $2 a month, but you can just get it sent. You can just either check it on their website. You just check it on their website for free, so that's a good way to save money. When you close an account, they sometimes charge you a fee. If you lose your card, they sometimes charge you a fee. My credit union doesn't charge for lost card, and even sometimes I've overdrafted before, and I just called them up right away and just said, hey, you know, I'm sorry, I made a mistake, and they'll usually like at least one time. So you can always ask for fees to be removed. I've done that several times, and I actually know the person. I became friends with the person in my little credit union. Credit unions are often smaller, more personalized service, and it helps that we're friends, you know. Yeah, yeah, and then like wire transferring, like if you want to, wire transfer is when you want to send money like to another person's account, in like usually in another country where you can't just send a personal check. And then stop payment. So stop payment is like you wrote a check to someone, but you didn't get the thing back, the service or the product that they were supposed to give to you. Then you could call your bank and say, don't give them the money, and so that costs $30 usually, around that. These are you know, estimated fees. Okay, so here's a question for you. Which is not generally a feature of a checking account? We only got 5 more minutes, so let's see over here. The answer is you're not going to make a high interest rate on a checking unless you have like over $25,000, maybe even $10,000. They might give you some interest, but usually you're going to get higher. You're going to get a better interest rate on a like a savings account. They're really low right now. The best way is if you have a chunk of money and you don't want to invest in something risky like the stock market. You know, bonds, we talked about bonds are safer, but you could actually make more in certain savings accounts right now, or what's called a certificate of deposit, or a CD, and that's where you put money in a savings account, and you plan to leave it there for a certain period of time, like 6 months. Like I set one up for 3 years. I'm trying to save for a house. I had a chunk of money. I knew I wasn't going to have enough to buy a house and for like another 3 years, so I put it into this CD for 3 years. Now the CD at that time was paying around 2% interest, and that rate gets locked in. So now the interest rates are lower, and so I would, you know, be getting, if I started one now, I'd be getting less, but since I locked it in, I'm going to get that interest rate for 3 years. Now, if I pull it out, I lose some of that interest, but there's no other fees really. Very minor fees. I did have to do that at one point, pull some out. But checking accounts don't really pay much interest. So, you know, overdrafts you got to be really careful with if you use a debit card. So, you know, one time I called Wells Fargo. I don't bank with them anymore because they ripped off a lot of their customers, and they got fined by the government, actually like billions of dollars for ripping off their customers. One time I had a debit card and I overdrafted like 6 times, but each overdraft was like a cup of coffee, like $2, $7, you know, for something, like all these tiny little charges. They charged me $400 in overdraft fees in an account I had no money in. And so I was like, well, why did you guys keep letting me use my card? Why didn't you just stop it? Why didn't my card just stop allowing me to purchase things? And they said, oh, we don't do that. So, you know, banks like Wells Fargo, they make a lot of money off fees. Credit unions don't do that kind of thing usually. The card will just stop, or what I have set up now is I have an emergency fund in my savings account, so if I ever spend more than in my checking account, it will pull money from my savings account. Yeah, so that's a little bit about bank accounts, credit union accounts, different kinds of money accounts. If you have any questions or need any help with anything, let's go ahead and put it in the chat, stick around. Let's go quickly to the what's coming up next. So next Tuesday we'll start talking about making a budget, and we've got the TGA on budgeting, which I strongly recommend you guys do that TGA, even though yeah, so the credit union, great question. So the credit union I use is Community First Credit Union. There's Community First in other states, so this is of California. And but what you want to make sure you're using one that's local to you so that you can use the ATMs. I mean, most credit unions, they have an agreement where you can use an ATM from any other credit union for free. But I would look for your local credit union. And sometimes in the past, like credit unions, you had to be like in a certain job to get like